Hey, 8th graders. Today's assignment is going to be our introduction to our egg drop. So this is going to be our little STEAM Wednesday, and we're going to be working kind of on this same project for the next couple of weeks, with the exception of one we'll do a little Halloween activity. But mainly what you guys are going to be doing in this egg drop today is learning a little bit about what happens when an object hits the ground. What do those forces look like as far as a collision force or an impact force? You guys are going to be learning about kind of a little simulation you guys will be doing to test drop pods, or pods that we'll drop, which again will be similar to what we do with our egg drops. And then, so you guys will kind of learn your parameters for that. And then you guys are going to read about some different materials for building a drop pod for this activity today, and this is going to kind of introduce us to our egg drop, which we'll kind of take a look at next week. You guys will look at the materials that you have available to you. You'll use some of the concepts that you learn in this sim, and then you guys will learn a little bit about budgeting, cost effectiveness, and efficiency as well. Okay, so with that being said, your learning targets for today: I can design a vessel that will protect its contents from the force of a collision with the ground. Okay, your guys' little bell ringer today, or your warm-up, is to read 2 articles. So you guys will go ahead and right-click this link here. It's going to take you into the wrong article. So when you guys pull it up, it's going to look like this. Okay, this is part of your guys' dossier. So in order to get to the 2 articles you guys need to read, you'll need to click on your table of contents up here. And the first article you need to read is Request for a Proposal. So this kind of talks about what you're going to be doing today, as far as you're going to be building a pod that can be dropped out of a helicopter for emergency situations. And you need that pod to be able to be reusable. So that means minimize your cargo damage on the outside. You need to obviously minimize the cargo damage on the inside, and you guys need to keep it as cheap as possible. Okay, so those are going to be your 3 goals for that. So read through those. And then your second article you need to read is Collisions and Impact Forces. Both of these articles are pretty short. Remember that Amplify will read them for you guys right there if you guys click the little speaker and then hit play.
Chapter 2, Collisions and Impact Forces.
Can listen to the article. Okay, so read about collisions and impact forces. Again, this is going to be that main force that we are looking to prevent happening with whatever we are dropping, whether it's our fictional pod in today's sim or our egg drop in the future. Okay, moving on to the next slide, you guys have a short little video. It's a slow motion video of a tennis ball hitting the ground, so you guys can just get an idea of what a collision force really looks like and why it's important that we build these little pods that can protect our cargo. Okay, or in the case of our egg drop, our eggs. So you guys will hit open link, and you guys will watch this little time-lapse video, or I guess it's a little bit more than a time-lapse. It's a slow motion video that shows the tennis ball hitting the ground. So I'll go ahead and just play that for you guys right now, as it is short. So you guys can see the force of that collision or that impact, how much that tennis ball distorts when it hits the ground. Okay, so obviously a tennis ball is made to withstand that kind of force, but an egg is not. Okay, and when we're talking about our cargo for today's assignment, that cargo is also not like a tennis ball in that it can withstand that kind of impact force. Okay, so what you guys will do from there is you guys will take a look at the materials, and you guys can kind of do this as you build your designs. So I'm going to open this link up. It's going to bring you guys into your dossier, which shows us all the different supply materials that you guys will have available to you guys in this simulation today. And then you guys can read kind of about the outer shell, the inner padding, any top add-ons you guys might have, and any bottom add-ons that you guys might have. So this again could be possible design ideas for you guys as you guys create your actual egg drop. Okay, so you guys can read as you guys are figuring out what material you want to use for your shell. You guys can see a picture of what these materials look like, and then you guys can read about them as well. So I would definitely take a look at these as you guys are trying to consider how you're going to make your little supply pods in today's simulation basically durable and cheap. Okay, so just as a reminder, you guys have 3 goals that you guys need to maintain as you guys are building your designs. So your pods need to minimize cargo damage, so inside the stuff needs to stay protected. Okay, you need to maximize your shell condition. Outside, you guys want to have as little damage as possible. The more damage you have, the less likely you're going to be able to use the pod again. We don't want to have to rebuild the pod every time we use it, as that will get expensive and it'll be time consuming and won't be as easy to grab a pod when we need it. Okay, and then finally, of course, you need to keep costs low, and that again kind of ties in with this maximizing shell condition and even minimizing the cargo damage. How much cargo do we have to replace if it all breaks? Okay. So what you guys will do is you will right click this link here, you will open up your simulation, which looks like this, and you guys are going to build 4 different designs for these pods. Okay, you guys will start with the shell, and really outside of the shell you don't need to do any more. So if one of your designs was just changing this shell and seeing how the shell affects, that's totally fine. So you guys are going to pick what you guys think is the best shell material. Again, you guys need to reference this article to say, all right, my options are acrylic, aluminum, fiberglass, steel, or wood. I can read a little bit about acrylic, aluminum, fiberglass, steel, and wood. I can kind of see their relative costs and their relative weights. Obviously, kind of an underlying goal with this as well is to not have your pod be super heavy, okay, because the heavier it is, the more force it's gonna have when it hits the ground. So if you're looking at using steel, you guys can see steel is one of the heaviest objects on this. Okay, it may be cheap, but it's also going to make your pod hit the ground with a little bit more force. Okay, so think about that as you guys are building this also. You guys, in order to minimize that cargo damage, want to also minimize the weight. Okay, so it's kind of a 4th underlying goal. All right, so you guys will choose your shell, and then once you guys have chose your shell, you guys have the options to choose padding. For your padding, you guys can see there's little airbags. Those are those little pockets of air that you guys get when you guys maybe get it like an Amazon package, whatever the case. Feathers, metal foam. You guys can, again, go into your article and read about these things. So here's your inner padding. So you guys can see what the airbags, the feathers, the metal foam, the packing peanuts, and the paper pads look like. Okay, I'm curious about the metal foam. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be, so maybe I would go read about it. Okay, with this, you guys can use multiple inner paddings. So you guys can say, all right, I want a little airbags. I want maybe 60% airbags. You guys can see that as I click the addition button, it adds more dots to represent that I'm using more airbags. And you guys can see that obviously there's a point where it's going to be too full, so that would be our 100% point. So maybe I add like, oh, here's 80% of airbags, and then I want to do some feathers. Okay, so I can fill the rest of the space up with feathers. So you guys can try different percentages of that as well. Okay, you guys can look at adding some kind of addition on top, so either flaps, a parachute large or a parachute small. Again, notice the different costs. One of your guys' things is that it needs to be cost effective. And then finally, you can do an add-on for a bottom. Okay, so for this, I'm actually just going to show you guys what I want you to collect for your data. So again, you guys will be building 4 different designs. And again, you want to try to make your designs good. Don't just build 4 designs to get them done and out of the way, because it's going to be hard for you guys to talk about them, which one's best. Okay, so for my example I'm going to show you, I'm just going to use a steel shell and kind of show you guys what that looks like. So I can see what this is. Obviously, I just had the steel shell, no padding, no add-on on top or on bottom. So we just have our cargo kind of floating in the middle of my pod. My total mass is 130 kilograms, and it only cost me $50 to build, so we'll see how it does. So obviously, if this is my first design, I'm going to go ahead and hit test. It's going to get dropped. And then what we're going to see over here is, okay, this is first of all what happened, okay? Doesn't look great. And then I can say, all right, here's my design details. I want to screenshot that so I can, when I grade your guys' assignments, I can see how you designed your shell. So when you guys are done testing, you guys will screenshot this whole little area right here that includes the design details. If I have any padding, it'll show me what percentage of each padding you guys used, any add-ons on the top or the bottom, and then obviously I'll be able to see what your shell is. Okay, this is your results though. So when I dropped this from the helicopter, the impact force on the pod was about 849,333 newtons. And really that won't mean very much to you guys until you start to be able to compare your different designs and be like, all right, obviously that number as it goes up, okay, that's not a good thing. That means it's more force hitting the pod. You guys probably want to keep that low, and one way you guys can do that is obviously to reduce your weight or increase your wind resistance so it slows down a little bit more too. Okay, your total pod mass is 130 kilograms, and the velocity that it traveled down was about 31.3 meters per second. Okay, basically this is our shell condition, so this is what the outside looked like. It turned into building materials, meaning we can't use it again. Okay, you guys might see that it's a watertight sealant or something like that where you guys could live in it. Okay, that means the shell's in pretty good shape. So it kind of gives you guys an idea of what you could use your shell for, if you guys could use it again, or in this case, if it's just scrap metal. Okay, and then total pod cost, that's pretty cheap. And then cargo damage, that's not a very good percent. You guys want that percent to be close to 0, okay, as in nothing got damaged. Okay, so what you guys again will do is you will build your 4 different designs, you will test them, and you guys will screenshot this little section that shows what you built it out of and your test results, and you guys will place that on each slide. So here is design 1. Again, it tells you guys make sure you have the design details and the test results. That's this part, design details, and the test results, that's this black and white part right here. Okay, design 1, then build something that you guys think is gonna be better. Design 2, design 3, and design 4. Okay, once you guys have your 4 different designs, you're gonna kind of analyze your 3 different factors. Your cost, okay, which one was your cheapest, which one was best as far as cost. Okay, you're gonna analyze your shell condition, okay, which one came out in the best shape, and then you're gonna also do your cargo damage. So you're gonna take a look at your 4 designs, and on slide 11 it asks you, all right, rank them, your 4 designs, design 1, 2, 3, or 4, from best to worst as far as the cost of the pod. So maybe design 3 was your cheapest, you guys would put a number 1 there, okay? Maybe design 2 was your next cheapest, so I'd put a number 2. Design 4 was a 3, and my most expensive one was design 2, so I'd put a 4 in there. So you guys are gonna rank them 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which was your cheapest to which was your most expensive. Okay, then you guys are gonna take a look at your condition after your drop. So you guys are gonna look at your pod. Are you able to use that again? Again, you guys use your best judgment on that. Which one's your best? Mark it a 1. Okay, second best, third best, and then your worst is your 4. Okay, and then finally cargo damage, you guys are gonna take a look at those percentages. Which had the least cargo damage, that would be your number 1. Okay, and which had your highest percentage, that's gonna be your number 4. Okay, so you guys will look at those 3 factors and you guys will rank them. And then overall, which was your guys' best design? You're gonna use your draw tool to circle either design 1 or design 2, design 3, or design 4. And then explain why using evidence from your test results. So maybe you guys had design 1 was best in cost and best in cargo damage, but was worst in the outside pod. Okay, but compared to the other ones, you know, it had 2 categories that it was best in. So you guys are gonna kind of justify out of all of them, maybe design 2 was consistently number 2 in all your guys's. It did the best damage wise, but overall, you know, it just did better. Okay, so just kind of look, it doesn't necessarily have to be a design that was in the number 1 spot for any of those 3 things. It could be one that was consistently the second best in all of the categories. Okay, so again, your key is that you guys justify your answers here. So look back at your data and be like, well, design 2, even though it wasn't the best of the best in all of them, it was consistently good throughout. Okay, and then finally do your wrap up. Do you have any questions? Circle yes or no. If yes, type them below, and then circle 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you think you did on this assignment? And you guys are all good. Go ahead and hand this in, and I hope you guys had fun building pods. Next week we will look at how you guys are building your actual egg drop pods. Okay, have a great day. Bye.